Hey guys, welcome back to Words from Reagan. Today's episode is a different one than I usually do. I told you guys last week that this week was going to be a special episode. I am having my first guest on my podcast, and I've had so many people talk about wanting to be on my podcast. And today I have my cousin Kailyn on. I just want to say a guest podcast I have such a strong passion for. I feel like those things are going to be good on getting a separate insight of a voice and a separate eye on their perspective of life and their personal experiences. But it's not going to be a weekly thing. I just want to see how this one goes, and I feel like there's no better person that I'd want to be on than my cousin Kailyn. For those of you guys who don't know, my cousin Kailyn and I started a YouTube channel when I was in 5th grade, and I'm a freshman in college now, so definitely have gotten my start and grown my YouTube channel, but the roots go back to me and Kailyn having our Kailyn and Reagan channel. Today's guest is Kailyn. Kailyn, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kailyn. I'm her cousin. I'm 16. I'm a sophomore in high school, and I'm just excited to be here.
So today's episode is kind of going to be a recap on everything we've covered so far in the podcast, and me as a person, along with Kailyn. I've known Kailyn her entire life. Obviously, we're cousins, and I would say I was around 7 years old when we really started getting close. Obviously, a friendship at 7 years old is a lot different than when you're 19. We're going to talk about just growing up in life and maintaining friendships and our personal experiences of transitioning from middle school to high school and for me to college, and how to maintain strong, healthy friendships and portray the negative and temporary people that come into your life. So I remember, obviously, my first clear image of Kailyn that I remember is when I was 5 years old, and we were playing Polly Pockets in her grandma, my aunt's basement. And I don't know, that's my first clear image of me and Kailyn hanging out for once. And I don't even remember you probably were 3 or 4.
I had to have been, but I know that they were my cousin Jackie's. And I was obsessed with playing the Polly Pocket games on my grandma's computer, and just dressing up the Polly Pockets, and that was my main game.
So I specifically bring up playing with Polly Pockets because I remember obviously I grew up in the 2010s or 2000s. I was born in 2004. Kailyn was born in 2007, but I remember, we weren't stuffed with technology in our face. I remember I got my first, iPad or iPod. I don't even remember. I think I was in middle school, honestly, or 5th grade, probably. I was in 5th grade. But I point this out because, obviously, when we have kids and, people our age have kids, there's going to be that level of technology, and obviously technology is only advancing, between phones and computers, and obviously social media is one of the things that portrays the perfect lifestyle. And growing up, especially in middle school and high school, you see everybody's picture perfect life, but there's more to that. For example, for me, the past couple weeks, I am going to a community college by me, and I've been just feeling missing out. I have FOMO really bad, and everybody portrays, the pictures of them going out, and I'm this looks really fun, or them with their boyfriends, and that's something else that I would die to have right now. And I'm sure anybody else who's single can relate to this, is you see the pictures of them, and it's their picture perfect, they're traveling, they're moving, whatever they post on social media that you don't have, that sticks out to you over any other post because you see something that you want and they have. So I wouldn't say jealous, but some people will get jealous, and people will feel like they're behind. And for me in life, I've always felt like I was falling behind for certain things in life, especially in high school. I've always said I've been in this long season of waiting for high school. Obviously it was a COVID year for high school, which sucked. I didn't get the full high school experience, which is fine, but I grew so much as a person, and I wanted a relationship so bad in high school, to the point where I was really like low, I want to say freshman or sophomore year, but once I picked myself up, and like started my like self-love journey all over again, I'm looking back today, I'm so thankful that I remained single all those years, because I was able to put into the work into myself. Whereas even if I did remain single but messed around or chose a different lifestyle, I feel like I wouldn't be where I'm at today and as ready and to commit to somebody as I am. So that was kind of my high school, and Kailyn's only a sophomore, and we have 3-4 year age difference, but we're still very close. But Kailyn's in a 3-month committed serious relationship now. She's 16. And obviously you're in a relationship now, but based off of your past, and I know you're still really young, but how has your single life like treated you? You're very mature for your age, so like how have you treated your single time to grow as a person?
Well, when I was in my last relationship, it wasn't the best that I thought it was getting out of it. When I was in it, I thought that it was the best relationship ever. But then when we broke up, it was more of like I was ignoring all of the red signs. After a while, I kept on like trying to fix everything, but really I was just trying for nothing. Like I was holding on to hope that it would get better, and putting all of my effort and energy into a relationship that truly just meant nothing to the other person. And in that time frame, I lost myself completely. I would always just break down, and I felt so alone, and I was just not in a good place at all. And after we broke up, I came to realize that I didn't deserve to get treated the way I did, and that I shouldn't have let it happen. Yeah. And instead of like standing up for myself, not standing up for myself, but like,
you kind of like lost yourself in that relationship. I feel like,
yeah. And so when we broke up, I spent a lot of time focusing on my friends and me mostly, and kind of just doing things that I love. So I spent a lot of time alone, but like not like a sad way where like I feel alone, but like because I know I needed it.
And you grow a lot as a person when you're alone too. Like, you don't always have to go out with your friends, but like I remember like I will like clean my room, as stupid as it sounds, or just like take a night, like a self-care night for myself. And honestly, sometimes you need those nights where you choose you over anyone else when you need it the most. Yeah, obviously like you love hanging out with your friends and it's only for the good, but like there's a difference between you constantly being alone and choosing you want one night for yourself.
When we like broke up, I was going on a trip with my stepmom and my sister and our close friend to New York, and honestly that was probably the best timing that everything could have laid down, because I got to spend time with family and I got to like distract myself from it. So when I got back to reality and like going back home, it wouldn't have hurt me as much, and it didn't. It took me a while to actually realize that I did lose him, but I know that was for the best, and I knew that I wasn't happy. So I like just took a lot of time to do things that I liked, and I just stopped trying so hard and focused on my feelings instead of someone else's. And so if something wasn't right, I now stand up for myself, and I think I learned a lot from that, which is self-worth, and like just kind of like standing up for myself when things aren't going well.
Yeah, I've said this before on my podcast, but I always say, if some, temporary people, for example, that come into your life, or you go through an experience or a relationship, a friendship, a job, whatever it is, you think it's going to be so good, what you need, and then you get it, and it turns out to be exactly the opposite of what you thought it was going to be. And sometimes you need these things to walk into your life to remind you of your self-worth and what you bring to the table for others, because it's kind of like an awakening call. So after that, you're going to be hurt for a little bit, but after that, you're ready to put in the work, and you wouldn't want to go through that again. So from that, you build your standards.
I think that the way you treat yourself is the way you treat other people. And I think knowing who you are as a person and finding who you are and who you want to be is the way that you would treat other people. And I think that in the months that I did focus on myself, I found people who really truly do love me and actually like want to be around me and stuff. So for my like now relationship, I've never been as happy as I am, and I think it's because I took so much time to focus on myself. I just know that I'm trying to be the best person I can for my boyfriend, and I know that he's doing the same, and it's not just a one-sided relationship. It's 50-50. And I think that in a relationship, you need to give 50-50. And even sometimes if like your partner is low, you still need to bring your full effort and give the 80% if they're only giving 20. And same goes the other way. If you're feeling low, he needs to step up and give you the 80%.
Exactly. And that's something I always say. And, you know, I've talked about one-sided relationships before, but I always say you should give 50-50, and other days you're going to have to give more. But going off of that, a relationship shouldn't always be, 70-30. Like if it's constant for weeks upon weeks and you're giving everything and you feel like the other person isn't doing anything, then that's where things get one-sided. But obviously occasionally, like what if somebody's going through something and you need to give more for that week, then let it. That your love for them should fill that void of emptiness that they're not giving. But if it compiles for weeks upon weeks and they're not reaching out to you, like that is where things need to end and you need to pick yourself up and leave. So kind of transferring into friendships, obviously a relationship and friendship, this can relate to any, but for me, we're going to be talking about friendships. Part of the reason that me and Kailyn are so close as we are is obviously like we put in the work. I remember when we were younger, we loved the saying cousins by blood, but friends by choice, because it's so true. Like your family is your family, like by blood, but you can still have relationships with your cousins or your aunts. And a lot of the time, those are those lifelong friendships that we always long for. And I have had friends in the past and recently that, whether it's a job, school, a boy or girlfriend, whatever it is, for the people that always say they're so busy in life, people will find time if it's something as simple as going to get coffee in the morning or going to the gym at night, whatever it is that you guys find time for, they will still find time for you instead of using the excuse that they are busy. People will find time for you. Obviously people get busy and caught up in life, but if you really mean something to them, they're gonna make an effort to see you.
Yeah, and I think that the biggest thing in a friendship, or again, like in a relationship, I think communication is the biggest thing, and kind of just like not pushing them away, even though you might think that that's the best thing to do, and you might not think that they understand, but communication is key, and I think that's in any type of relationship.
Yeah. Like, for example, relating back to like, that busy example is, even if you are busy, like still keep in touch. Like, if you guys can't see each other as much as you used to, still text them how they're doing, maybe like a daily phone call. That's what I try and do. Like I'll call people at random times of the day just to know I'm thinking of them. But other than that, like communication is key for anything. Like if you're going through something, somebody can't read your mind. Like for example, in a relationship or friendship, if you are not liking the way you're being treated, then communicate it. Instead of just walking away right then and there, give them the benefit of the doubt and communicate. And then from there, if they don't change or don't see what you're saying, then walk away. But before you walk away, communicate anything, whether that is a job, you're feeling like you're being misused there, abused, whatever it is, or even in a friendship and relationship, like communication is key for everything. Your feelings, people can't read, and just stay in touch with these people.
Yeah, and I think that even if communication like leads to like an argument or a disagreement, I think that that relationship or friendship will get out of it stronger than before they communicated. I don't know, just like communication just is huge to me, and as someone like I don't do it as much as I should, and it's kind of just again feeling like no one will listen and no one will understand you.
Yeah.
And putting it into words is probably the hardest thing. Like some days you just have days where you don't even know what's wrong and you just want to talk about it, but you don't know how.
Yeah.
I think just comforting them is also.
And with the right people, like, those arguments, like, you're gonna, like, find ways to work around it. Like, you might not see eye to eye on everything, but with the right people, they're gonna be willing to make it work. And recently, like, for example, like, me and Kailyn, like, obviously she's very busy in life, but, you know, sometimes, like, I'll communicate and be like, you know, I feel like you're not giving your 50%, and I'm not scared to say this, like, I don't mean it in a hurtful way, but, like, you know, sometimes these people need to be reminded of it, and Kailyn, like, obviously, like, doesn't even think anything of it. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, people get caught up in their shit, and if they need to be reminded every once in a while, that's completely fine, but again, if it's an everlasting cycle, weeks upon weeks, then that's where the line needs to be drawn. I did an episode on this 2 weeks ago, and I was talking about how friend breakups I feel personally are a little worse than breakups. And I wanted to touch on, like, healing this because I feel like everybody has went through friend breakups before, like, drifting off from each other, especially, like, I know Kailyn has, like, we're very close, we communicate everything, but any advice for that? Like, I feel like obviously taking time for yourself and putting the work into yourself, that comes down to anything, and that's what healing starts from. But I'm a big person who journals. I love journaling and even going to the gym, like doing things, finding hobbies and new routines for you. A routine is a big thing for me. Like, if I fall out of a routine, then I feel so out of place, like getting up in the morning, making my coffee, doing school, you know, finding a routine that works for you and makes you feel put together and you can go on with your life.
I had a group of friends in middle school and a little bit in high school, but more till like the beginning of freshman year, that wasn't so healthy. They were the type of people who you kind of want to be friends with them because you thought that they were cool and thought that what they did was cool, but when you really get to know them true selves, like, it's kind of different, and you see like a different point of view in it, and like, you just gotta find the right people and people who won't just start drama for no reason. Like, that group, like, spread so much drama for no reason, and it took a lot on my mental health. Like, I missed shit, like 70 days of school just because I didn't want them to see my face, because I was so scared that they were gonna just spread more drama. And it couldn't take me to wake up in the morning to get ready to go to school. Mm-hmm. And after I, you know, dropped them because I knew it was better for me, it took a while, and it still bothers me to this day, like, seeing them together, because I know that their relationship isn't perfect, or friendship isn't perfect, and I know that it's toxic, but they're just trying to seem like the cool people in school, thinking that, you know, being mean to other people, spreading drama for no reason.
And what you're talking about kind of sounds like maturity. Like, obviously everybody, like, matures at a different level in their life. And obviously, again, you're still so young. Like, I mean, I'm still so young too, but, like, I look at Kailyn as so young still because I just remember her, like being so much younger than me. But especially in middle school and high school, like, there's several kinds of people who, like, mature a lot faster. And I know everyone says, like, girls mature faster than guys, but specifically for girls, like, there can be people who are, like, stuck up and don't put themselves first, or people that put the work into themselves. So I feel like, obviously, if you, for example, like, if somebody like me who's put in all the work for themselves is friends with somebody who's stuck up, that's not going to work out, because honestly, those people just annoy me, because obviously all I can do is wish them the best, and you know, they haven't discovered their self-worth yet, but these people are so annoying to be around. Mm-hmm. And a friendship isn't going to work out with that, because they don't see eye to eye with you, and somebody should meet you at the same page for a friendship and a relationship.
Yeah, and, like, it's kind of just, like, all in loyalty, to be honest, too. What I see is, like, in a relationship or a friendship, if, I don't know how to say this without sounding harsh, but, like, if your friend doesn't like someone and they give you a full reason not to like them, that should be just like, oh, okay, like, then I should stay away from them. Mm-hmm. But as someone who had a friend who went into the friend group that I have so much to say about them, and she knows that, and the fact that she went to go to them just makes me know, like, just, like, shows me that she didn't care. Mm-hmm. And so now I feel like I can't tell her anything, because I feel like whatever I say, she's just going to go telling them. So I feel like I can't trust her.
Yeah, and trusting is a big thing in everything. And Kailyn will always tell me stories about, like, her friends and high school drama, and that makes me so glad to be out of high school. And obviously, you're still going to see, like, drama and all this once you're out of high school, but, like, obviously, you're not, like, seeing the same people every single day as you were. And I'm sure, like, in college, there's, again, some drama, but not as much as high school. A lot of maturity happens in those 4 years of high school. And some people don't see that eye to eye and develop as fast as everyone else. Again, this is just kind of like an episode. We're just trying to see how a guest episode is going to work. I wouldn't mind seeing Kailyn on the podcast a little bit more and having specific topics instead of just kind of like jumping all over the place, which is what we're doing kind of right now. But to wrap this entire thing up, I wanted to kind of do like what are the top couple things that we've learned in our lives. Obviously, again, I'm 18, Kailyn 16, so we still have so many years ahead of us. But for me, the past couple years, I feel like patience has been key for me. And I feel like knowing the wait is what gives the thing the value. A job, if you're looking for a job, a friendship, a relationship, whatever it is, knowing the longer you don't have that thing, the more the value grows on it, and you're going to long for it more. And once you get that thing, it's going to feel so rewarding to get. And that's where patience is key in everything, and putting the work into yourself. So say you want like a job, you're going to have to put in the work for it. And that's where patience grows, and you're going to be understanding that these things will walk into your life one day.
Kind of hopping onto what Reagan said, kind of the patience is the same thing, but I also feel like the best things come when you aren't looking for them. And I feel like anyone can agree with me on that. I think that the more you stop looking for something you want is when everything starts to pop up and come in place. And some people think that if they keep looking and looking, they're going to find it. But they're just going to find worse people for that.
They're going to settle pretty much.
Yeah. And settling fast isn't a good thing, in my opinion. I think you need to take time to think about it and, like, just wait. Be patient.
The last thing I have is no expectations, just high standards. Again, done an episode on this, but in short, just, I've always had expectations for how things are going to work. The beginning of a relationship, a beginning of a job, you tend to fantasize and be like, okay, well, this is how it's going to be in 3 months. And say things don't work out. That's why you get so hurt over things, because you fantasize down the line instead of being in the present moment. So I always say, don't have any expectations of how things are going to work out, and if that person's going to stay in your life, or that job's going to pursue you and you're going to get accepted for it, but rather just have high standards. Know your worth, know what you bring to the table, and know what you deserve. And if somebody's not treating you right, then you leave. If the job isn't treating you right again, you leave. So again, this episode was kind of just covering growing up and friendships and what we've learned personally. But I would love to hear your guys' feedback for guest podcast. And then obviously, like I was mentioning Kailyn earlier, I wouldn't even mind doing a podcast with us too, like a video podcast, because I feel like me and Kailyn have a lot to talk about. And I wouldn't even mind doing like 30 minutes, an hour episode. That I love watching those people between like two best friends, like just talk about their experience with life.
I think that we can just go really deep into conversations and kind of just have fun with it all, and just talk about things that some people might not feel comfortable about talking. But because we've known each other for basically our whole lives, I feel like we're comfortable talking about anything. Yeah. And we can just go deep into, like, any conversation.
Yeah. And like I said, I've had so many people reach out to me to be a guest on this podcast. So if you guys would like to see more guest podcasts, either, like, on regular Thursday upload days or other days, then please reach out and leave some feedback. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. But with that, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. And I will see you guys for a normal episode next Thursday. Bye, guys. Have a great week.